Breaking: Nigel Farage just cornered Keir Starmer live on national television with a single, relentless question that left the Prime Minister completely exposed. In less than a minute, Starmer's confident facade crumbled. Within 3, Labour MPs were in full-blown panic. Political analysts are unanimous, this could mark a turning point for the government. The clip is going viral, flooding every platform as millions watch Starmer falter, stumble, and struggle to respond. Yesterday at 2:17 p.m., Farage entered the BBC studio for what should have been a standard debate, but his message hit like a thunderbolt: Starmer's leadership has failed the working class while shielding foreign wrongdoers. Starmer came armed with talking points, rehearsed lines, and advisors feeding him strategy in real time, but nothing could prepare him for the blow that left him defenseless. He thought he was prepared. He thought he could handle Farage. He was catastrophically wrong. At precisely 2:34 p.m., with 4.2 million viewers glued to their screens, Farage leaned in and dropped the question that shattered everything. Prime Minister, 3 weeks ago your government released 1,700 foreign criminals instead of deporting them. Yesterday, one of them, Ahmed Khalil, was arrested for attempted murder in Birmingham. A 9-year-old girl is fighting for her life. You had the power to stop this, why didn't you? Will you look into that camera and apologize to her family? Silence swallowed the studio. Starmer's confident expression froze, his eyes darted, his mouth opened, but no words came. 7 agonizing seconds passed before he spoke, voice cracking. Well, Nigel, that's an unfortunate situation, but we need to consider the broader context of immigration law. Farage cut him off sharply. That's not an answer. A girl is dying, yes or no? Will you apologize? Starmer tried again, stumbling through every word, every sentence falling flat under the weight of the question. Starmer tried to deflect, citing complex human rights considerations, but Farage wasn't having it. Human rights for foreign criminals, what about her rights? What about the British public's right to safety? He fired back. That was the moment Starmer completely lost his composure. He raised his voice, pointed at Farage, and snapped, I will not be lectured about safety by someone who has never faced these decisions. The outburst was a disaster, instantly recognized by every political analyst as a Prime Minister unraveling live on air. Within minutes, the clip was trending worldwide, and Labour HQ was in full-blown panic. The humiliation cut even deeper when leaked sources revealed that Starmer's team had been warned 3 days in advance. Farage's office had sent a courtesy notice with criminal deportation policy explicitly listed, giving Starmer 72 hours to prepare a carefully crafted, compassionate yet firm response. Instead, they froze, doing nothing as the Prime Minister crumbled under a question they had every chance to answer. Senior advisors had warned Starmer in preparation meetings, rehearsing the exact scenario Farage would unleash to strike an emotional blow, but he dismissed them, claiming, Farage is all bluster. I can handle him with facts. That arrogance cost him everything. When the moment came and millions were watching, his mind went completely blank. The man who thought he was sharper than everyone else in the room crumbled under the pressure of the fight he chose. The fallout was immediate and devastating. Within 30 minutes, the victim's family issued a statement through their solicitor, reading, Our daughter Emma is fighting for her life because this government chose to protect her attacker instead of deporting him. 7 seconds of televised silence became 3 weeks of deafening silence from Downing Street. No apology, no explanation, no accountability. The statement spread across BBC, Sky, and ITV, igniting social media as mothers across Britain shared it in outrage and heartbreak. Within 4 hours, the hashtag Emma Deserves Better hit 1.6 million tweets, and images of Emma, a bright teenager with dreams of becoming a veterinary nurse, flooded every platform, a haunting reminder of a government failure witnessed by the nation. Her family released hospital photos showing her in intensive care, hooked to tubes and machines, a haunting testament to her fight for life. Every viewer could see the truth. This government prioritized a foreign criminal's rights over her safety, while the Prime Minister shouted at Nigel Farage on live TV instead of taking responsibility. Meanwhile, ordinary British citizens watched in disbelief. James Peterson, a 71-year-old army veteran from Yorkshire, endured 9 months of excruciating pain waiting for a hip replacement, only to have his surgery cancelled. His savings drained on medication, he learned the reason. The hospital had spent £340,000 housing asylum seekers nearby, covering healthcare, dental, and mental health services, while James, who served his country in Northern Ireland and paid decades of taxes, sat home in agony. His wife, Margaret, told reporters she found him crying in the kitchen last week, a vivid illustration of a government that seems to have forgotten the people it serves. A decorated soldier brought to tears because his own government treats him as if he doesn't matter, while newly arrived foreign nationals receive immediate care, an injustice so stark that even lifelong Labour voters in Yorkshire say they can no longer defend it. This is a government that found £700 million for foreign aid yet can't clear NHS waiting lists, that claims no funds exist for pensioners' heating allowances, but somehow uncovered £8 billion for overseas climate initiatives. The resentment burns through communities that built this nation. And James isn't alone. Across Britain, similar stories reveal systemic betrayal. In Cornwall, 64-year-old Mary Williams, a retired nurse who risked her life through COVID, applied for council housing after her flat was sold and was told the wait would be at least 18 months. Weeks later, she saw empty properties being allocated to recently arrived asylum seeker families under emergency housing rules. Decades of service, taxes, and sacrifice meant nothing. Mary told the Daily Mail she felt invisible, abandoned, and erased, a stark reminder of a government ignoring its own people. A working-class family of 5 was evicted from temporary housing so the council could reassign the units to migrant families, forcing them into a cramped 2-bedroom flat with 7 people. The father, David Collins, recalled the heartbreaking words of his 2-year-old son, "Dad, why don't they care about us?" But the situation took an unexpected, historic turn. At 4:15 p.m., just hours after Starmer's debate meltdown, King Charles made an unprecedented move during a veterans' charity event in London. Breaking decades of royal protocol, he stayed for 45 minutes, listening personally to veterans' stories of NHS delays, abandonment, and the frustration of seeing newcomers receive benefits while they struggle. Then, in front of cameras, the king spoke words that will resonate for generations. Those who have given so much to this nation deserve to be treated with the dignity and priority their service has earned. We must never forget who built this country and who defended it. Never. The message was unmistakable. King Charles wasn't just honoring veterans, he was openly rebuking the government. Palace insiders revealed he had personally contacted Downing Street 3 times in recent weeks, urging prioritization of veterans in NHS care, only to be dismissed each time by Starmer's team. So he went public. The optics are devastating for Labour, Britain's longest-serving monarch, a man who has spent decades avoiding political controversy, felt compelled to contradict government policy on national television. Constitutional experts were stunned. Professor David Mitchell told Sky News, "This is the most direct political intervention by a British monarch since George V during World War II. Charles is signaling that the government has lost its moral compass." Royal biographer Sarah Bradford added that Charles had crossed the Rubicon, choosing principle over protocol. And he didn't stop at words. Before leaving, the king announced a new Royal Foundation initiative, £10 million from his personal duchy funds to provide private medical care for veterans enduring NHS delays, a historic act of intervention and compassion. The announcement triggered standing ovations from veterans, tears from their families, and sheer panic at Downing Street. The fallout escalated rapidly. Within 2 hours of the debate, the pound plunged against the dollar, £2.4 billion wiped from the FTSE 100, doubling to £4.8 billion within 4 hours. Labour's internal fractures erupted into open conflict, polls showed their lead collapsing, protests flared, and senior MPs began plotting openly. This is no longer just a political scandal, it's a constitutional crisis unfolding in real time. At the centre, Keir Starmer, a prime minister who bet everything on policies the public rejected, now teetering on borrowed time. Overnight, senior civil servants quietly distanced themselves from Number 10. Briefings were delayed, memos lost, and key departments refused to defend immigration policy without written authorization, a clear red alert signaling the machinery of government no longer trusts its leadership. By dawn, newspapers across the nation, even those traditionally sympathetic to Labour, carried the same message: chaos at the heart of power. Starmer's stumble, 7 frozen seconds on live television, shook Britain to its core. Editorials that once praised his discipline now labeled him brittle, evasive, and emotionally detached from the consequences of his own policies. One columnist called it a moral failure, not just a bad interview. Inside Downing Street, staff arrived early, left late, glued to phones as polling numbers cratered. Overnight focus groups revealed Labour's deepest fear: voters weren't just frustrated, they were done listening. Swing voters described Starmer as cold and robotic, more focused on process than people, while lifelong supporters admitted they felt ashamed defending him. At 9:30 a.m., an emergency strategy meeting collapsed in 20 minutes. Communications advisors argued, policy aides demanded concessions, and Starmer reportedly snapped when told to apologize to Emma's family. "I will not be emotionally blackmailed," he said, words that leaked and reignited public outrage. By midday, the story went global, with European media framing it as proof of Britain's political instability. American networks replayed the Farage exchange, questioning whether the UK government still had any moral authority on law and order. Even allies expressed concern. A senior EU diplomat privately noted, "This looks like a government that has lost control of its narrative and its nerve." Then came the first resignations, not headline-grabbing yet, but symbolic cracks. 2 junior ministers stepped down citing personal reasons, and a parliamentary private secretary quietly quit, a silent but unmistakable protest in Westminster culture. Each departure sparked speculation of a larger exodus. Meanwhile, Farage stayed silent, no victory laps, no taunts, just carefully timed appearances, calm statements, and an air of inevitability. Political strategists immediately noticed the shift. This wasn't the Farage of protest rallies and outrage. This was a calculated, patient figure, positioning himself as credible and ready. By evening, Labour MPs returning home faced hostile town halls, with constituents demanding answers and parents asking why their children's safety seemed secondary to offenders. Veterans asked why their loyalty to the country seemed to mean nothing, and in constituency after constituency, MPs reported the same chilling refrain: "We voted for you. We won't again." Behind closed doors, private conversations grew blunt and urgent. Could Starmer survive another week like this? Could he face the Commons after the emergency deportation debate? Could he stand opposite Farage again without the same question being asked louder, sharper, and fueled by public fury? One senior Labour figure put it starkly: this wasn't a scandal the party could ride out, it struck people where they live. Once that happens, the clock starts ticking. The next 48 hours would decide everything: whether Starmer offers a full apology or doubles down, whether Labour fractures or unites, whether Farage stalls or accelerates into an unstoppable force. In British politics, some moments pass quietly, others change the country's direction forever. This was clearly the latter. As night fell over Westminster, the sense of inevitability deepened into dread. Senior journalists received off-the-record calls from rare sources, a signal that the ground was shifting. One veteran political editor summed it up bluntly: history was in motion. The air seemed to drain from the room slowly at first, then all at once. This story was no longer about a single debate or policy. It was about trust, and whether Starmer had lost it permanently. Behind closed doors, Labour's donor network reacted swiftly. Major contributors paused funding, demanding clarity on leadership before releasing further support. The money tap was tightening, and campaign planners warned that without immediate stabilization, local election preparations could grind to a halt. Bad headlines could be weathered, but a cash drought could not. At the same time, civil society groups spoke out. Victims' advocacy organizations called for independent inquiries into deportation decisions. Veterans associations echoed the King's words about a morally inverted system, and even normally neutral charities condemned the erosion of public confidence in government priorities. Each statement chipped away at Number 10's defenses, while human rights lawyers representing victims' families confirmed they were exploring judicial review proceedings against the Home Office, adding legal pressure to an already spiraling crisis. If successful, the judicial reviews could force the release of internal guidance under oath, with former judges warning that ministers risked accusations of misleading Parliament, a constitutional red line with consequences far beyond politics. Inside Labour HQ, crisis meetings blurred into one another, one moment focused on damage control, the next on succession. Names were floated, denied, and floated again. allies of Angela Rayner quietly tallied supporters, while Rachel Reeves's team issued briefings emphasizing economic credibility that read suspiciously like leadership positioning. No one said coup, but every action suggested one was looming. Meanwhile, Starmer retreated inward, oscillating between defiance and exhaustion, insisting voters cared more about cost of living than moral issues, but polling told a different story. Focus groups revealed something rare and dangerous: emotional alignment against him. People didn't just disagree, they felt personally betrayed. On the streets, the public's anger took tangible form. Candlelit vigils appeared outside hospitals, and handwritten signs reading, "She deserved better," and "Protect our own," lined railings near Parliament. These protests weren't orchestrated by parties or activists, they were organic, spontaneous, and therefore far more threatening to a government already on the defensive. Foreign leaders noticed, quietly checking on stability and continuity, while markets reacted to Britain's sudden uncertainty. Analysts compared the mood to moments preceding past leadership collapses, uncomfortable echoes of history, and still Starmer hadn't apologized. Every hour without a statement hardened public opinion. Commentators asked the same question repeatedly: if he couldn't say sorry now, when would he? The silence spoke louder than any speech. Sensing the moment, Farage broke his quiet, not with an attack, but with a challenge, a call for a national reckoning on priorities, framed not as left versus right, but government versus governed. "This isn't about ideology," he said. "It's about whether those making decisions ever feel the consequences of those decisions." The line cut through because it echoed exactly what millions were already thinking.